That's better. We are actually live. We've been live for about a minute.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Hi, everyone. This is another episode of On.NET. And today we have Alfonso with us to talk about a fabulous tool that is called Fable.
Yes.
Hi, Alfonso. Oh, we can't hear you for some reason now. And you need to stop sharing your screen as well, because the point is that we see you.
There we go. Okay.
And we did the sound check and everything, and it was fine, and we could hear Alfonso, and now we can't.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
He's definitely talking.
Working? No?
Oh, there you go. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, fantastic. All right. So let's do this again. This is on.NET. Hi, Alfonso.
Hi, Bertrand.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your day job? Why did you start Fable? That sort of thing.
So, I'm a developer for some years. I actually, I didn't get a degree from the university. I'm a linguist, so I just started development, doing applications for translation. But right now I do different kind of applications. I started with Excel macros, VB, Visual Basic. Then I moved to C#. And then I discovered F#, and then I fell in love with functional programming and also with the F# community. And I started to get more involved. And at the same time, I also wanted to do web development, but I wanted to use F# for web development. So I was looking for alternatives to be able to compile F# to JavaScript. And there were a couple of projects, but because of recent other projects that I could use, the F# compiler services and also Fable, which is a compiler, JavaScript compiler that was developed last year, and I saw an opportunity there to use them. So I started this new project, which is called Fable. It's very, very easy twist on words, and yeah, I think it's been very welcomed by the community, which makes me very happy. So there are many people using it now, and yeah, it's a great experience to have this open source journey with the F# community.
Okay, so
about my job, and I'm currently working for NSYNC. That doing maybe later when we are sharing the screen, I can show you the web page because it's very cool. We are doing cool stuff with augmented reality and live art digital live performances.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. But hold on, so you have no formal computer science training, and you write compilers?
yeah. It's interesting because I think that it's more or less the same story for the guy who wrote Fable. But anyway, it's not. I'm not going to say that it's a very sophisticated compiler. So it's actually.
And it's technically it's a transpiler, right? We shouldn't say compiler, should we?
The lines get blurred between transpiler and compiler these days.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be. I'm just taking that because I can take the F# compiler services. It's giving you it's parsing all the code and making most of the work for me. So this is very easy. And also I can take also this Fable, which is actually generating the JavaScript code. So it's good that in open source you can take it. You can stand on the shoulder of giants and it's not that difficult. I cannot say that I'm such a smart guy.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Actually, you have lots of tools today when you want to write something like a compiler or DSL or something like that. You can really start with parsers that are off the shelf and just configure them, right?
Yeah.
And and then you have tools like LLVM that also help and.
Yeah, and so I haven't really used Fable a whole lot, but I have used it, and I had the opportunity to actually meet Alfonso in person at the F# Exchange in London, which is this incredible conference. And just sort of one of the things that I think is really great about Fable from how I've used it, and Alfonso can talk about this a lot more than I can, obviously, is that it's it doesn't really hide things from you. It's like, oh, well, your environment is JavaScript. And so there are a couple subtle differences between your F# and your code that ultimately executes in the browser. But that enables you to just use stuff in the JavaScript ecosystem, which I think is the really important thing, because it doesn't create this entire universe that is separate from JavaScript, separate from F#.
Yeah, it's not like an applet where you execute your code in a closed box. Mm-hmm. It really is about integrating with the environment and everything, and that is fantastic.
Yeah, and that's also the sense that I get when I use it, which is awesome.
What I find really impressive, and we'll see that in the demo, is how integrated it is with even the tooling that you have in the browser, and being able to debug that stuff in the browser, debugging the F# code, not the resulting JavaScript code, is fantastic. And I was involved a few years ago with when Nikhil Kotari made his C# to JavaScript transpiler. And at the time, source map and all that stuff didn't exist. So now we have those tools in the browser that make it actually possible to use those debuggers with a language that is very different from JavaScript. So.
Yeah. So
and we're talking too much. We're not letting Alfonso
exactly.
talk.
Yeah. We should just let Alfonso talk about this because he's actually the expert.
Yeah.
No, but actually you made a very good point, because this one very important guideline of Fable, that is the integration of the JavaScript development environment and the tools and the ecosystem and the libraries, because there are several compilers from .NET to JavaScript, especially from C#, and they usually take this approach of trying to hide things from the developer. And so you can take .NET developers and maybe people who are accustomed to SAML or this kind of Windows development, and making this easier for them to put everything in the web. But they don't know this. Everything is like in a box, and it's difficult for them to know actually the real ecosystem they are trying to get into. So Fable is not doing this. It's just integrating everything. So taking the F# developer directly into the JavaScript ecosystem as a first-class citizen. And for some people, it's a drawback, because it forces you to know the JavaScript development, and we know. I like it. It's very vibrant. It's a real a great community. I got a lot of help from the people of the authors and the maintainers of the JavaScript tools that Fable is using. But it's true that sometimes it's a bit crazy, and there are too many things happening at a very fast pace. So for some people, for some developers, this can be a bit threatening, but I think it's worth it. And for me personally, it's the way to go. But of course, it's good that we have many options. And in F#, for example, we also have Web Sharper, which is a tool that also allows you to be in a bit closer environment, which is also good if it's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's. Well, I guess the way that I like to describe Fable is that it's like a very honest compiler, which is important, because ultimately when you're building something that is significant in size, you're going to need to dive into like the smaller details, the little subtle differences between things. And if you're in a world where it's not the same as the rest of the JavaScript ecosystem that you're trying to integrate with, then that's problematic. But in the case of Fable, because it is a part of that world, it's just everything works the way that the other JavaScript stuff works. And that's that sort of consistency, I think, is really important.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, and also like the F#, the flexibility of the language, because it's, for example, C#, I love the language as well, but it has a more rigid structure, so you have to structure everything using classes, for example, and F# uses modules, and this makes it closer to JavaScript, because also the module structuring is very important in JavaScript, and using inner functions and things like this that we know have them in C# as well, but I think it's easier to mimic F# program into JavaScript.
Yeah, and I think that's because JavaScript, you can do some pretty good functional programming in JavaScript, and so that's why whenever I talk about Fable to people who aren't familiar with it, I say it's a compiler that emits good JavaScript, which is crazy because if you look at the compiled output of it, it's good JavaScript that it emits. It's not just some like crazy goop that happens to run in the browser. Like you could look at it and be, oh, well, that I can actually read this and it makes sense to me.
Yeah, actually, that brings another question. Do you how closely do you keep up with changes in the ECMAScript specification?
So basically, that's one of the things that Fable is doing for us, because Fable is taking care of transpiling everything to all JavaScript if necessary. So since the very beginning, I was targeting, because I had Fable in mind, I'm targeting ECMAScript 6. So we are using some of the new features like classes or these modules, ECMAScript 6 modules, and lambdas, for example, which has this capture this context and things like this. So this makes it much easier to keep the FSR semantics into JavaScript, and then Fable just takes care of translating this to all JavaScript if you want to run it.
So you have always been targeting up-level JavaScript.
Yes.
Cool.
Makes sense.
Well, I think it'd be really cool to sort of show Alfonso, if you could show us kind of how you can get started with Fable today, and kind of walking through just all of the cool stuff, because there's some really, really neat stuff in there.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to see this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I should share the screen then.
Okay.
Let's go. You can see it now.
Yep.
So first, I'll show the Fable webpage. It's very simple. It's fable.io. So easy to remember. Here you have samples, for example, that you can directly play on the web. And you can also see the source code commented. And because we have FSR formatting here as well, you even have tooltips. And
so what we were seeing above here, this is actually running, right? It's not a video.
Yes. So you can just open the developer tools. Can you see them? This is actually should go to the Osmo. Yeah, here it is.
Yep.
Wow.
So you actually have the FStar code here, and you can should be able to
set a breakpoint. Yeah.
Debug it as well. So you see now it's stopped.
Yep.
And you can see the values here. Sometimes it may have some quirks because the source maps are not perfect. But in general, you can set the breakpoints. You can see the values. And in the last case, because we are outputting very readable JavaScript, as Philip said, you can just go to this JavaScript generated, so you can just go there. And as you see, it's actually very easy to read if necessary.
Yeah, it's got like proper names and things. I mean, that looks like a JavaScript developer would have just written that.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look generated at all.
Yeah.
And it looks really good.
And just like, holy crap, he just set a breakpoint in an F# script file running in the browser.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
It's pretty powerful.
So I'm going to talk. We have at the moment we have two versions out there in the market. I'm just talking about the market, but it's open source. So don't worry. So we have the stable version, which is Fable 0.7. But we have also the one that I'll be talking about today, which is 1.0 beta. You can go to the. Actually, I don't have. Here it's the link to the blog. Sorry. Here's the announcement, and one important thing about the 1.0 version is that we are integrating with the .NET SDK, and we are using the new FSR project format that was mostly developed by Enrico Sada. And as you can see, it's much easier than the old project format that you had a lot of XML code that it was very difficult to read, and especially for people coming from JS, it was like impossible, and it was one of the things that it was putting them off of using the tool. So I think this is also very good. And we have some, we'll see them live in a moment. We have some commands using .NET SDK. that also make it very easy to develop. And we are integrating with JavaScript development tools like Webpack. Webpack is a bundler that can also do hot reloading, and it's also really useful. We are in the right now. We are in the middle of a discussion with the community, saying because I'm trying to bring together the best of the .NET world and also the best of the JavaScript world. Mm-hmm. But it's true that for some people, sometimes they find it confusing because they have to interact with two ecosystems. So we are right now in the discussing if we should go full JavaScript or not. But I think it won't change that much the workflow. But I just want you if maybe in a few weeks the commands that you have to write, they will be maybe a bit different, but so we fine. So
about how many people contribute to the project right now?
Interesting. So that's a very good question, because right now we are looking for maintainers, because the tool has grown very, very big, and we have a very big, quite a big community, and it's difficult for me to keep up with all the. Actually, let's go here. Sorry. To keep up with everything, so I'm looking for maintainers. We have quite, as you can see here, we have 55 contributors. Mm-hmm. Of course, in open source projects, not that everybody is contributing full time, but at the moment it will be just me, the core maintainer. But we want to solve that. So it's.
Yeah, I saw that issue this morning, and it looks like even things, like helping with documentation and helping maintenance of samples and things like that. I mean, that sort of stuff is really appreciated in open source community, and so, yeah. Cool.
Okay, but let's jump to the code very quickly. Cool. So I have a couple of samples here. So. So this was actually done by a person in a workshop, a Fable workshop, led by Matthias Brandevinda. I want to attribute, but I just forgot I had the link, and I forgot, so I need to ask him again. So who was the author? But
so this is a person learning Fable built this?
Yeah. It was a person that in just 1 hour it built this very simple but quite cool. A canvas, browser canvas sample that we can see right now. We have the instructions here. So as you can see, we have, because we are using NPM dependencies from JavaScript, and we are also using .NET dependencies. So we have to install them, but I have them already installed for you. So this is the command. Fable is right now a new .NET SDK CLI tool. So we just need to do this to run it. And with this, I'm starting Webpack development server, which is a static local host server, but it has the ability to. Oh, I think I already have it running somewhere. Sorry for that. Okay. It was here. Okay, let's try again. So the cool thing about Webpack is just taking all the code and is bundling it, so it's very easy. So if you see the HTML, I just have to make a reference to a single file. I don't have to manage all the dependencies. And with JavaScript, you can see here all the dependencies that are usually for a typical JavaScript project. So it can be a bit crazy. So thanks to Webpack, we can forget about this. And also, you will see we'll have hot reloading, which I think is something very, very important.
Yeah.
And it changes the way you develop. And it's also very important when you are learning a language, because you can see very quickly what it's doing to. Okay, let's wait for a moment. It's a bit slow now. I don't know, maybe.
There you go.
Okay, here you go. So the cool thing is with this that we have just a single file.
So this is just a single F# file. Okay.
Yeah.
That we can just, you see here we have particles, and we have chains. Webpack has checked it automatically. I think I'm demanding too much of my CPU. It's going a bit slow.
Yeah,
sorry.
because you're also streaming the video.
But
so
Yeah.
Oh,
I
there we
promise
go.
that it's usually faster, okay?
yeah.
So don't worry if it's slow.
Everything is faster when you're not streaming high definition video.
Yeah.
Well, so this is really cool. So you didn't have to like recompile the project, do some sort of build, some sort of launching with npm or anything like that. You just saved the file, and there it is in the browser.
Didn't even
Actually, all
refresh
the
the
things that we
browser.
don't- So I don't have to hit the button. So I just save and everything's happening. So here,
Yeah, and it's actually important that you don't have to refresh the browser, because if you're in the middle of a debugging session and your application has state, then your state gets maintained if you do that. So what needs to changes, and the state remains the same.
Well, this a bit different thing. We have it's something we call about the hot reloading. That's just replace the page, and sometimes we call that about the hot module replacement. That's also possible for Webpack, but it needs some extra configuration, and we don't used to use it at the moment, but it's possible as well. But it's a bit different thing.
I see.
So one of the important things that so for example, I like TypeScript as well, and one of the usual sell points of TypeScript is that it can integrate very well with the JavaScript development environment, so you don't have to rewrite the whole project just to use TypeScript. So it's the same with Fable and F#, because we are just making F# a first-class citizen of the JavaScript ecosystem. So it's not like it's living in a bubble. We can see we have this function here, this update particle, which is updating the position of the particles. So we are just going, instead of using it here, we are just going to comment this. And you can see here, we are going to update it. We are going to import it from this file.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so you replaced the F# code that you had with JavaScript code.
Yeah, and I think it's still thinking about it. Sorry. I think probably I'll have to reduce the number of recompilations in this demo, because they can
there you
so there's again the gravity is going very high, because I'm not using the I'm not using this function right now. So just to show you that it's actually using the JavaScript code, I'm going to change the I'm not going to update the exposition. So you see here that because the exposition is not being updated, it's always only through the y-axis. But that's more. So we can import JavaScript code to our F# code, but we can do it the other way around. So we can just export our F# code. This function here, we can just import it from JavaScript. So as you can see here, I'm just calling directly the F# code.
That is too cool.
You are actually importing the .fs file, not the compiled JavaScript file. So
thank you to the Webpack integration, because the Webpack is calling Fable when it doesn't know how to compile a file. So in this case, in an F# file, so it will call Fable, and Fable will compile for Webpack. So we can see here again, it will be, because we have this one, so it's a bit, the gravity is a bit bigger. remember this function is updating the particles.
Mm-hmm.
I can say it by, no, let's try. Again, make it even more gravity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It just works exactly the way you expect. It's very impressive.
So I think that's one of the important things to output readable JavaScript code, because you can just take, in some few cases we have to mangle the names, but in this normal case that you are using just ASCII characters, you can just use the same name. So you don't have to worry about how is this spelled, how is this transformed in JavaScript or in the JavaScript code. No, just take an name of the function.
So I have a question about the .NET dependencies, because here you're in JavaScript land, basically everything compiles down to JavaScript. That's fantastic. What about your .NET dependencies? How does that happen?
So at the moment, because this is using the FSR compiler, so it's parsing directly the FSR source code. It's not using IL code at all. So some compilers are just taking directly the IL code and compiling to JavaScript. But in this case, we are not doing this. This means that we cannot compile to JavaScript any .NET dependency. So right now we have we only support. You can see it here. So basically, we only support the FSR core, which we have some replacement, and we have the Fable core, which is also a few functions, to a few helpers to interact with JavaScript, and also some bindings with for the browser and so you can see here, for example, we have a browser, and these are document get elements name.
Mm-hmm.
So these are we can use this with IntelliSense here, if the CPU allows it. Maybe too much. Anyways, so this all contained in the Fable core, but it's actually not compiling the IL code. This we have. If you go to the Fable documentation, we have FSR language and library compatibility, and you can see here the types, the classes from the BCL and also from the FSR core that we support. And
okay, so you have a small subset actually of the .NET framework.
It's not the whole BCL.
And
that
so
makes sense.
I just saw something that is pretty interesting to me. I noticed that there was under F# core there was the tuples, and then under the JavaScript column it said array. That's because there are no tuples in JavaScript from what I understand. So that's really interesting. So it looks like you sort of said, okay, well, here's a mapping from something in the .NET space into something that could be semantically similar to that in the JavaScript space. Interesting. Are there other places that are like that?
Yeah. Actually, for this I took inspiration from TypeScript, which is doing the same. In TypeScript, you have tuples, and they are compiled to JavaScript arrays. And this is very good because it is supporting D3, for example. You know this visualization library. We have actually an example here with D3. And this library is a JavaScript library, but it's using tuples. So thanks to using tuples as arrays in JavaScript, it's possible to use.
I see.
So in this case, for example, translate is using, this is a tuple. That's the reason we need the double parentheses here. So D3 takes tuples, and thanks to compiling tuples as arrays, it's possible to interact with other JavaScript libraries that understand tuples this way as well.
That's just so cool that you can just call D3 like that.
And we have the option type in FSR. This was a bit debatable, but was we are actually erasing it, so you don't see it in the JavaScript code, and we replace none with null. But it also allows interaction with, for example, in JavaScript, you have these optional members, and it's possible to interact with them using the option type in F#. And also, for example, the sequence, or actually this IEnumerable in the BCL, we are translating to iterable, which is basically the, I think it's here somewhere. Yeah, you have some iterables here. So it's possible to send an iterable to a JavaScript library and consume it from the code. And things, for example, we are trying to maximize these cases where we can map one type from the BCL to JavaScript, to a native JavaScript type. There are two advantages of this. One is that you get better performance because these types at the end, they are native types in the C++ implementation of the browser APIs. And in the second case, that it makes it very easy to interact with other libraries. So, for example, the BCL dictionary, Mutable dictionary, is being translated to JavaScript map, and it has set also to set. And we also, the regular expressions, we just use the regular expressions in JavaScript. So I think this makes it very much more performant to use these types in JavaScript.
So in the case of regular expressions, for example, you have some differences in behavior between JavaScript and .NET, but here the assumption is, this is the Java. These are the JavaScript regular expressions, and that's it, right?
Yeah. This one of the, we have a few caveats, and one of these that it's the regular expression. It will always behave as if you pass the regex option ECMAScript flag. So it means that you don't get negative look behind or name groups. But for most of the other things that if you try to some of the complicated patterns, actually it was one of my motivations to start contributing to FunScript, that was the previous project before Fable, was because I always kept forgetting the regex API in JavaScript. So I knew in .NET, and also Visual Studio gave me the auto-completion. So I wanted to use it.
Yeah, so I can't remember the syntax here, so I will build a compiler. That makes sense.
Yeah, something. I will have hope. Maybe if my future me could tell my me at that time that it will be much more work to create a compiler. Maybe I could have thought.
Yeah, well, we all know that's how great things are started.
Exactly.
Right? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for example, you can go in the repo. We have the test, and if you go to this test, we have many things here. And basically everything that is here, these tests are run twice. Are run once with JavaScript and once with .NET. So it means that everything that's here, it's possible to use it. Even date times, because date time is a bit crazy. It's not working very well in JavaScript. We are also comparing to the native date type, but actually we support leap years here and things like adding months that is not working very well in JavaScript, but with the .NET semantics, you can.
What about localization?
Localization, it's you mean about the culture, right? So this is not supported because we have the. So there are a few things, for example, pairs, SACT, or things that rely heavily on the platform. They are not supported because at the end we are just compiling to the date here.
Right. So do you sometimes have to use libraries when the runtime is not enough? I mean, there are globalization libraries for JavaScript that reproduce behavior that is close enough to what you have in .NET. So would that be a possibility here?
Yeah, it's something that we are considering at the moment, because at the moment we just have Fable core, which is the library that's coming with JavaScript, with Fable, with all the Fable projects. And at the beginning, I wanted to make it very, very thin, because it was being included in other projects. But now we have Webpack, and Webpack is doing tree shaking, which means that everything that you are not using, it will be eliminated from the bundle. And you also have tools like minifications and things like this. So right now we are thinking to try to use these libraries to improve to expand the VCL support.
Cool.
That's really cool. So this is I'm certainly not as good at JavaScript as Bertrand is. He's more of a web developer, but I'm more of an F# developer. And so some of the reason why Fable is attractive to me is I like my types, and I like the cool F# types, and I just really love the fact that you can use all this stuff. And I saw something on your screen where I saw what looked like you had div in there, but it was an F#, and it looked like it was using like div with a list or something, and it looked like sort of like a DSL or something. I was curious what that was.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that. So first I'm going to talk about this very cool project. I think I'm very happy about this, because this one, I hope that in the future we'll get more of this. But this is one of the projects that I have spawned from Fable, and I have almost done nothing here. So this contribution from Eugene and this guy here and other contributors. So
when you start having projects spawning from the root project, that's a really good sign.
Yeah. So at the beginning we had this this idea, because Fable is not compromised with any architecture or framework, but right now we are just promoting this as the default way to create web apps with Fable, because it works very well. And I think this is the best example of the Fable spirit, which is just to integrate and unite, and not trying to reinvent the wheel all the time. So in this case, we are using things that work. We are using F#, and as Philip said, all the language features and all the powerful features of the F# editors. And we are using Elmis, which is the Elm Architecture. It's a language, also a functional language compiling to JavaScript, which has gotten very popular. But actually, the architecture, you don't need to use the language for that. So this is one thing that if you want to use Elm, you have to learn a new language, and you have to use all the Elm tools. But it's possible to use Fable, to use the F#, that is a language that you may know if you have already been working with a .NET platform. But you can just use the architecture. So you just have to read about it. You can read here in the Elm documents. And also, it's using React. So React's a very popular library by Facebook, and it's done to create web apps and using them like a template system. But your code directly becomes the template system. So it's at the very time it's much easier, because you already know how to code, and very powerful, because you can do much more things with any other template system. So React is one of the good things about the React is that there are hundreds of components available. So if you want just to create a calendar or something like this, you can, in this page, for example, react.rocks, you can get a lot of components that you can just import to your application. So I think it's very good that with Fable Elmis, you can take advantage of these three tools: the Elm Architecture, F# language, and also React components. So how to start an Elmis project? So it's very simple, because we have this .NET SDK integration, and one of the cool things of the .NET SDK is the templates. So we see here templates. Maybe again, so you can see here better. So as you can see here, I have this template installed, which is Fable Elmis React. It's very simple to install. You just have to do .NET new, and install it like this. Okay, I already have it installed, so it's not needed. So now, if I want to create Sorry, I have to write the name of the. I'm writing the name of the template, and I want to say that I want to create the project in this folder. So as you can see, I already have it here. So I have everything. This array a full working project, and it's ready to start. You have the instructions here. So again, you have to install the dependencies, and then just doing the same command. And I already have the dependencies in this project, so let's use this one. So it'll be faster. So just you can just show them best. And while this is this compiling, the first compilation, as you saw, it takes a bit longer, but the watch compilation are much faster when you are not streaming high quality video. And as you can see here, there's I'm not an expert of the Elm Architecture, as I already said. I'm not the author of the library, but the very crash course is that you have a model, a single model for the whole application, and then you have an update function, and then every time that you want to change anything in the application, you just have to update this function. So.
Right. So it's sort of like this immutable model, and you use. Right. So,
Yeah.
so you update the function, and then it goes through and it updates everything underneath it. And there's since it's I'm presumably running on React or running on Elm, it has the virtual DOM underneath, which does the diffing for you and manipulates the DOM in an efficient way.
Yeah, that's the good thing that every time you, for example, this what Philip was talking about, that we have this a very declarative language. I find it very funny that React developed this library, but they found the need to develop a special language, so they created this JSX language, which is embedding HTML within JavaScript. But actually, with F#, you don't have to create any special language, because F# is already expressive enough. So you can see here, this is just F# code, compilable code, and it's almost.
So it's like React's DSL, except
yes.
It has square brackets instead of angle brackets, but.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And of course, one of the great things that we have type checking. So we have we try to you see. So the F# compiler we already told me if we make a mistake, typo. So very quickly, it tells me what I have to write. So I just have to. I have quick fix here. We are. This is this Visual Studio Code with IONIDE, which is impressive. So it's really I really love using Visual Studio Code, which is an editor I love, and also using IONIDE with it. So every time that, as Philip said, every time that you make any change, you will create the whole view again. But thanks to the virtual DOM, you don't have to worry about the app being slow, because the virtual DOM is going to automatically detect what is what has actually what is needed to be updated in a real DOM. So the mental model is very simple. You just have a model, an update function, and the views. And every time there's a change, you use the update function to update the model. So in this case here, you see there's the state. We have the update function here. This for the a very simple counter example.
I think we're having trouble getting your stream.
You're not seeing it?
No.
That's a pity. So you're seeing my face?
No, it's frozen right now.
Yeah, your face is frozen.
That's a bit. Okay, maybe.
Okay, so yeah, try to share your screen again.
Because the cool stuff is coming now, so. Now, better?
Oh, hold on.
Almost.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's still showing a little loading bar on our side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it already looked cool, but here we go.
Yeah, it looks kind of bad, but we can see something.
Okay, so That's a bit, but anyways, I'll try to explain it very quickly. So here we have the application, an SPA, a single page application with navigation with, you can see here, how I hope that you can see it somehow. You can see how I can just tap it directly, and I'll see I have the typical hello world model view controller sample of just type in Bertrand and hello Bertrand. I have it here. But a really good thing about this is besides so for example, here I have I'm adding 10 because this is what I have in the function. But again, I have hot reloading, so I just put a pip here, and my web page is going to automatically restart after a while, and then I promise you this much faster when you are not streaming. Okay, here you go. Have it?
Yeah, we're having an image quality issue here.
I can kind of see it. There we go.
Yeah.
This is still really cool though. So this is using F# pattern matching here, and this is just looking at the code, and this is great because it's like this is beautiful F# code. And
hold on, stop moving.
Sorry?
Stop moving.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. So now we can see the code.
Ah, cool.
I can see. Okay, so this is the update function. So this is really the important one, right? So it looks like there's a message and a model, and I'm guessing the model is the representation of the UI, and the message is some sort of action that was initiated on the page. Okay.
So yeah, we have here types. So you can see here the model is very simple. The message is just union type in F#. So this is great to do pattern matching. And so this is the thing that we say that you can do functional programming in JavaScript, but it's difficult to do it because you need the tools and also the language is not prepared for immutability. So it's you have to be very self-disciplined. But with F#, this F# is the language leaving you the good way all the time. So I think it's also very good. You have type checking, but at the same time with type inference. So you can see here, I don't have to write the type, but the type is not there. And the code is very clean. And you have pattern matching, you have union types. So all the poor F#.
Yeah, so you get a lot of type checking out of this and a lot of safety, which I assume happens mostly at compile time.
Yes.
So the JavaScript code that would get generated from that would look like a switch, or with strings instead of the stronger.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it's a switch and sometimes just nested ifs. It depends on on the situation.
Yeah.
But it's usually performant code. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great because pattern matching in F# gives you exhaustive pattern matching, if anybody's not familiar with that. So Alfonso defined the message type there as being one of either increment, decrement, or reset. And if he did not pattern match across every single one of those, then it'll be a compiler warning because it'll say, hey, you did not account for all of these things. And then if you have warnings set up as errors, then it'll actually be an error.
So here you go. If I just forgot to take care of the reset event, reset case, and then
there we go. The
compiler is already telling me, and I think I should get. Actually, I should get a warning here as well. And it's not this time. Anyways, let's check the one of the other cool things. So we are talking all the time about the integration, and there's a tool I love for developing this kind of React tools. No, it's not this one step. Yeah, So basically, this is an extension for Chrome, also for Firefox, that gives you a lot of information about it gives you much more powerful debugging capabilities for your application. And this is a JavaScript development tool. So we have it here. Ooh, my laptop is, maybe it's the time to upgrade. Real slow. Sorry for that.
Totally fine.
Oh yeah, I love this tool.
You know it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you have this, and then you just move in the events, and you get. It tells you everything that's been happening. So because we have messages and updates, and we have just single model, it's very good because you get the every time that you make a tiny change, it's a snapshot.
Yeah.
So you can just save it. And
yeah,
you can
it's like a VCR for your code. It's amazing.
So you can just, if just here, I can just go back and forth in time.
Yeah,
but also,
it's amazing.
It's, just navigation, because navigation is also a change in the state. You can see here, navigation is also part of the state. So I go back, just go back here. And you have many, I think you have a chart here, which is also very cool. So you can see here what's happening every time that you are doing something. So for, of course, for this sample, it's very simple. Then you can see here everything that's happening.
It's just
you can skip something, you can replay all the you see here. And there are actual many tools. I think that you can also print this out. It's something, for example, if you have somebody's testing your application, you can print it out and send it to the developer, and the developer can reproduce exactly the steps that were done to reproduce a bug or a specific situation.
Right.
And the good thing about this is that this is a JavaScript development tool. So we can just take advantage of it using Fable. So we don't have to recreate all the tools just to take advantage of using a very powerful language as F# in our web applications.
Yeah, and that's really cool. And because the architecture is like message based in terms of when you want to do stuff, it's just so easy to use with this sort of snapshot feature. This is like, I mean, this is my first time looking at this tool, and this is really, really powerful. Wow.
So we have also let's see. Okay. So here also React has the React development tools, and this basically it's very similar to the Elements view in the Chrome developer tools. But the problem is that the Elements view is going to show you the real DOM. Yeah, but we are talking about an abstraction, abstraction with the virtual DOM that we are using. So this is what the React development tools give you, and they also tells you the properties of its component. It tells you the state. You can just look for them. I think here. Here. Sorry. So I can go to my counter and I see. Okay, I have a div here with column like this. Let's look for this, and I think it's this. Anyway, I can just find the things. It will tell me the state. I think that we don't have many stateful components here because this is a functional application. But also you have a state. It will tell you a state here. You can change it online with the debug tool. So it's also a very powerful tool. And again, we can use it because we are not trying to do any weird stuff, and we are just compiling to very, very standard JavaScript, what React development tools expect. And that's the reason that we can take advantage.
I think this is really important, and it's maybe the main takeaway here, which is that for a very long time, there were lots of people saying, yeah, I don't want to do client-side development because I hate JavaScript, or reasons like that. And then you could tell them, yeah, well, you have some higher level languages that you might like better that you can transpile to JavaScript. But then the problem was the integration with the tooling and with other libraries and so on. But that is no longer a problem. Now you can have the best of both worlds. You can use a language that you love, such as TypeScript or F#, and transpile it to JavaScript and still get all the benefits of all that tooling and all those libraries without losing fidelity. And I think that is really amazing.
That's absolutely a very good point. It was TypeScript was an inspiration for me when developing Fable, because I wanted to do that. I think that there are many developers that they want to use some language or a more powerful language when developing JavaScript applications, but it's they don't trust the ecosystem, or it's they have to pay something to use the language. So we try to minimize the difference, the gap between normal JavaScript development and development with F# and Fable.
Yeah, I think when I see that, my thoughts are, finally we're there. We can do this, and it works, and it's perfect. So. Excellent. Well, thank you.
So very, very quickly, what we saw, it was just the template. So it was what you get. It was a fully working project. What you get when you are just installing creating a new project with the Fable Elm React template. But we have also, for example, here we have the Fable scaffold, which is just a more it's very simple, but it's a project with more things, and it's also using the F# on the server side, using Swap, a very popular F# library to create servers. But with the Fable, you don't have to. Here in this case, it's very, very good because you can share, for example, you can share types. So in this case, you can share types between this shared between the client and the front end, and I think it's also very good. But with Fable, you can use any server, so it has no compromise at all with any particular architecture. So nice. The good thing about this as well is that it's using. So this here we use using Fake, which is a F# also an F# tool to build, and it makes it has a DSL. To perform the most common build tools. Now we have in the C# world we have Cake that I think is taking inspiration from Fake, but this been out for a very long time in the F# ecosystem.
So it's using an F# script as a DSL for running your build tasks.
So this is using also taking advantage of the .NET SDK, and with the .NET SDK, we have also kind of hot reloading also for the .NET tools, which is this tool, which is called so can you see it? Microsoft .NET Watcher Tools. So with this, it's a very similar experience to what we have with Fable, that you can run your project, and this tool will watch the source files for changes and will restart the tool if something is needed. So again, here as you can see, these are shared. We have server here. We are using the types that in the client project, we are using them as well. So we have all the benefits. And I think it's here.
Yeah, and that's another thing where JavaScript had a unique advantage, which was that you could actually run it on the server with Node and on the client, and you had some rich interaction between the two. Now you can do the same thing with F#.
So these are, for example, some of the helpers that come from Fable core. So this actually using can interact with JSON.NET. It extends a bit JSON.NET capabilities to make it easier to interact with more FSR types like discriminating unit types or record types, and make them also more readable when interacting with Fable.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was like one of the big value propositions of Node, and it's well, here it is for F#.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had another question that is
please.
Kind of unrelated. Do you have any thoughts about WebAssembly?
That's the question that always somebody asks. So I think with WebAssembly is something that at the moment is designed to. There is some confusion about the WebAssembly at the moment. It's I think it's just following the SM.js guidelines, which were basically designed to compile C++ to JavaScript, which means that you don't have a garbage collection, for example. So it means that it's very difficult to compile a language like JavaScript, like F#, or C#, or even JavaScript. You cannot compile JavaScript to WebAssembly because you need this garbage collection. So I think for the moment is the WebAssembly is just for something which is very CPU intensive. So you have a lot of number crunching, and you can write them in C or C++, and then using the ECMAScript, I think it's called. It's a compiler tool that it converts C++ to SM.js, and then from this to WebAssembly. But at the moment, it's not possible to compile it from a high-level language that they use garbage collection. It says it's some people say that in the future it may support it, but not right now. So, but it's possible. I have no sample about it yet. Sorry, but it's possible to get a WebAssembly library and load it from Fable, and using the runtime. So I think if you want something that there are already, I think some WebAssembly libraries to make like image recognition or things very computer intensive that is also not very easy to do with JavaScript. So you can import the library and just use it normally. I think I should actually do an example about that. But, okay, I think this finally it's here, so you can see. I'm already okay. We have login. So in this case, we are interacting with it's not an SPA. It's not only an SPA because we are interacting with the server. So we have authentication, and we have kind of a very simple database with a couple of books. And by the way, if you're interested in F#, you should be buying this book, Mastering F#. So and you can add new books here, but the good thing, I think I'm not going to do it because it probably will take also some time. But with this, you can also. So, for example, you see here the title, and I can go to the server. Wish list. Sorry. So these are taking the books from the database, and I can say, okay, I'm going to change the case of the books to uppercase. Again, you see, this is the .NET Watch tool that it's watching my files, recompiling, and this doesn't have this is not refreshing automatically the web page at the moment, but once done, I can just refresh. I think it's already done. Okay. It's still building. Sorry, but when it's done, I'll get the title of the books in uppercase, and this not something coming from JavaScript. This coming from the server. So I think it's good that we can have a similar experience on both sides. So we can have this hot reloading experience. That when you're not streaming video, it's usually much better.
Okay. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So cool. Yes, because it's May the 4th, Be With You Day, so it's Star Wars Day.
Yes.
So I'm going to show something. I didn't have much time to prepare anything, so this is just a blatant copy of. You can see it now.
Yep.
See this already in uppercase. So this blatant copy of this. Also, I want to say one of the things about integrating with the JavaScript development is that the JavaScript now runs on many platforms, not only the web, but also on the server and also on mobile platforms and the desktop with GitHub Electron. These are still code. For example, this is actually a JavaScript application. So I think it's done in JavaScript, but it's using JavaScript. So
yeah, it's TypeScript.
It's the powerful of JavaScript nowadays. So this also Fuse is. We can compile also. We can create mobile applications using Fable and this kind of tools like Fuse or React Native. This was Dave Thomas that he started paying and created some libraries to interact with Fuse from Fable. But I think this actually pretty cool. I'm not going to explain about it, but I just saw this example. So I saw it just 1 hour ago, and I said, okay, maybe it's a very good example to show for the show. To celebrate May the 4th day. So here you go. Where are you? So this tool, the Fuse tools, mainly use a declarative language with they call UX. That's similar to SAML in a sense. It's an XML-based language to declare your interfaces declaratively. So it's very heavy on this language. But you can also use JavaScript to control the logic, and of course, because you can use Fable to compile to it. So this the application is very simple. You see here, this is basically.
Okay, I see. So it's a little XML-ish sort of thing.
Yeah. It's very so. In this case, we are just calling to the JavaScript file, and this is going to be our FSR code. So you can see here, it's just really simple. It's just voting and just updating these values. And because we can just we are exporting this as a JavaScript whole spec, we can go from the so from the UX file, we can just call directly the function with the name from this kind of like the bindings in the SAML files.
Yeah.
We can take it. So here again, we have the README that tells us to install the Fuse tools, to run to install the dependencies. And then I go here and run this. Because this we have Webpack here also as well, but we don't have the Webpack development server because this is not a Webpack application. So I can just wow. Oh, it's really, really slow. So you can see that it's not Fable. It's just my whole computer is being slow.
Yeah, I've used Fable before on my own machine, and it's quite fast.
Yeah. We can make it faster, but yeah, it's especially the hot reloading experience, because you get some seconds at the beginning and the full compilation, but then the watch compilations are really fast. So I think that's good. They don't interrupt, they don't disturb your development flow. This is something very important. And being able to immediately see the changes and just this encourages you to try things and don't being afraid of making changes to your application, because you can just change. You see the change automatically being displayed on screen, so you can check if it works, it doesn't work, so you can keep on that way. So I think it changes completely the way you develop.
Yeah, it's a much more interactive development flow. Okay, so it looks like Fuse is running right now.
Yeah. So again, this is going to take. It's fast. It's fast. This one I like it because it's fast, but yeah, not now, not today. Sorry. You can make me any questions while it's building.
Well, I guess it would require showing stuff, which may just make stuff even slower. But I knew that one of the things I'm working on, because I work on F# is the rather large and ongoing pull request by the mysterious Ncave on GitHub, who has made it so that the F# compiler service effectively has Fable support, so that you could run it in the browser itself.
That's right.
And so there's a REPL where you can write F# code in the browser, and it executes it just as JavaScript there, and it doesn't need to hit a network. It doesn't go over the network to hit a compiler and that sort of stuff. Just entirely in there. Right here. This is the Fable REPL.
So here it is. We need to improve it, and we want to add some auto completion and taking directly in the IDE. But you have it here, and as Philip said, this it's just downloading at the beginning some the necessary stuff in the code. But after that, everything is happening in the process. So
that's
you
amazing.
Get it's yeah. So it's the whole. Well, it's not the IL emitting stuff, but it's the whole F# compiler. It's compiled to JavaScript and being run on the browser.
Wow.
It's funny because it's not emitting IL, but it's reading IL because it's downloading the assemblies. They are needed for the F# compiler to read the BCL types.
Yeah, and so I think this might just appear a little slower as well because it's running in your browser and you got all these other things going on. But so I've used it before as well, and it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a bit. There is always like a warm-up time for the F# compiler because it's loading all the assemblies. But after that, it's usually it's fast. We have we want to make it even faster. Of course, there's room for improvement, and we have, for example, this Buckle script, this OCaml also compiler to JavaScript. It's really, really fast, and we like to get closer to it. Everything is low. I should have bought this. Maybe I should have used the desktop probably. But I didn't have a camera. Anyways. Oh my God, I should close things. Anyways, let's go very quickly to the. So we can close the tabs, and because we all know that Chrome is very memory hungry. And let's close some tabs and explain about them. So first, we have this awesome Fable. We saw the website, but this awesome Fable repo, it's trying to compile some of the tools and the and the posts that have been published recently about Fable. So we have also some videos and libraries and the tools that we just saw. So it's very, if you are interested in Fable, you can also check it for more resources.
Yeah, send me the links after the show, and I'll put them in the description.
Right. I'll do it. This is actually my company. I told you it's really cool. So we are doing this kind of stuff to make shows, for example, for car companies, and using augmented reality, also sometimes ballets and controlling lights and making all kind of cool stuff.
Nice.
And that's all compiled via Fable as well, right?
Not all, but we are using Fable in that company. They actually hired me because of Fable, so I'm very happy of that.
Nice.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's always nice to see open source being actually useful in your career.
Yes, to making some money off of it. So this Ionite, we already talked about Ionite, which is the extension, Visual Studio extension for Visual Studio Code and Atom. It's so cool and makes development so pleasant with FSR and Visual Studio Code. And this is using Fable because Visual Studio Code extensions, they are done in JavaScript. So this programming FSharp, and it's been converted to JavaScript using Fable.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
Another example of Fable just being used by lots of different people.
Yeah. And we have here this very incredible project by Thomas Petrusike, one of the most important contributors to the FSR ecosystem. And this is, I think this RAID is trying to change the way that we see journalist articles in the web, that we have all these interactive capabilities, but we are not using them in the full potential. And Thomas is very interested in minimizing the distance between the data and the final user. So it makes it possible to, for the average user, it makes it easy to interact with charts, for example. But also for power users, as you can see here, power users, they get kind of a programming language that without compilation and everything, that they can use to modify what is being displayed.
Nice.
So I think Olympics. So here, for example, is for the Olympics last year that we have. You see here we have loading. Here we have the REPL. This is working here actually.
Oh.
Okay, this is already working. So yeah, I start showing something and then I go back to the previous thing that has already finished working. So here, as you can see, if I change something, Sudoku, this is from Stephen Forkman, and it's something to solve Sudokus. So you can see there's no call here. This is not hitting any server to compile. And it's compiling. It usually takes 1 or 2 seconds, but now it's a bit slower. But yeah, we can see. I think actually now, for example, here we have an example of a factorial and a recursive function, and this is one of the cool things that optimizations that Fable is doing, that it's converting them to a while loop. So it means that you won't fall into an Stack Overflow exception. No, we go back here. Hey, we have Olympic medals. So you have here the Olympic medals that the power user can go to the source and they can edit it. So for example, I say, I don't want to hide the gold column. I don't know if there's a repress button here. Repress here, okay. And then you should see something. anyway, I hope the viewers they can go there here to the gamma.net.
there we
here. So then I get the tools. I think it will be a much better experience if the viewers they can go and visit the gamma.net and just give it a quick try, because it's really a fun experience, and it changed the way that you think about these charts that are usually displayed nowadays in the online newspapers. But this way, if you have this knowledge and you can go further, so this enables you to go further and be closer to the data. And this is already finished. And
and there's the answer down below.
As you can see here, it's really readable JavaScript code.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think that this is being generated by a computer. So we have, for example, the way that F# does the Fluent APIs. So it's more or less like Link in C#. And we still have it here. And it's nice because what Fable is doing is just optimizing them just to nested calls. So in your code, you can have it very nicely. It's very readable. It's top down, so it's more or less the way we naturally read. And but the code is just going to convert to just nest the call, that it will be much faster, even than on a Fluent API. And I think we also have okay. Here. So very simple. Just a voting app where Princess Leia. I'm not. I don't know very well the Star Wars world. Sorry. But, sorry. Yeah, I know. I know. You don't have time to cut off.
Yeah, there are more cookies on the dark side.
Yeah, something like this. So Darth Vader and Leia, they are fighting.
Very cool.
And again, this is not mine. This coming from the UST, but just to show how easy it is to convert it to F#. So if you will want to give more power to Leia, so you can have a better chance against Darth Vader. Again, we can just recompile, and you see, it actually was quite fast. So now it's much more powerful because it's just adding 10. Okay, so
wonderful.
But Darth Vader,
excellent.
Gets.
All right, we should probably wrap up at this time.
Yeah, that's all from my side.
We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes,
Wow.
which is longer than usual.
That's fine.
But it's fascinating, and I hope people watching this will agree that this was worth their time.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Alfonso, for being on the show.
Thanks to you for
and your stuff is fantastic, and if you want to come back on the show, just let me know if you have something to show, and we'll arrange it.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
So I'll switch back to you if you want to stop sharing your screen and say bye-bye.
That's true. That's okay. Here we are.
All right.
Hey, can you see me now?
Yep.
Yes.
So thanks a lot, everybody, for watching, and thanks again for inviting me to the show. It's been a pleasure to talk to you again, Philip.
Absolutely.
And any question that you may have, we are there. We have also a Gitter channel, but you can just go to the Fable website and everything's there.
Just give me all the links. I'll put them in the description, and people can get involved and chat and try to get the bits and everything. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Run there and stop the stream.